What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Uh, Dragon Ninja here. We are. I ran across this video. I'm gonna do the other video too later on, but I ran across this video, and they're saying some of the same things that I was saying about Dragon Ball, and which is why, like I said, I'm choosing to mix things up a little bit, and it's a harsh reality. As much as I love the series, you know, I think it's just time to just close the door on it. But I'm gonna play it, and of course, I always give my commentary on what I think and how I think about it. But let's get into it.
I think it's time for Dragon Ball to die, and I take no pleasure in saying that. This franchise has brought me and so many others joy for decades. As a collective, Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, and even Dragon Ball GT stood in rarefied air. But in the last 10 years, there have been so many decisions that have changed how we look at this legendary franchise, and in order to truly understand how it's come to this, we have to go back. Back to November 20th, 1997. After its introduction, this is the very first day where the Dragon Ball franchise didn't have an anime. And this day is also the start of what I call the down years. Now, contrary to how it sounds, I think this period of time was actually the best for the Dragon Ball franchise. It was a period of time where all fans could do was reminisce. If you like Dragon Ball, then
And that's when Team Four Star came out. I think it was in between that gap when we was like people were kind of starving for new Dragon Ball. They had Team Four Star with Dragon Ball Z Abridged. That kind of brought up a lot of nostalgia. A lot of the YouTube channels I came across, like Quaman. I think I started running across. I ran across. I think even Geekton was doing content before Battle of Gods. Quaman, Black and Fist. A lot of them were creating content. Like it was during the period of time where there was no Dragon Ball stuff going on, and they had Quaman. Excuse me. Quaman had the what ifs. Kwame had all the what ifs. What if such and such, and what if Goku killed Frieza? There was a lot of different things that went on. I loved his what ifs. I might have to go over some of them. I think I covered a few of them, but yeah, because his what ifs were actually some of the best. Then you had Moscow X and all of them, but I liked a lot of Kwame's. But you had a lot of content. But anyway, my point is you had a lot of content creators and things like that that kept you interested in the series and had a lot of homages and different things from other series, cameo appearances. And then he had games, Raging Blast and all those different things to keep you interested even after the series was gone. Because I think I started playing Budokai. I started playing Dragon Ball Z Budokai. That was after the series had ended, though. I was like in the 9th grade, but they was in GT then. Budokai 1, 2, and 3. That was after the series was over, so it kind of kept me inside the series. Then they had all the episodes online. There was a place you go and watch full episodes of Dragon Ball. Full episodes. Full entire episodes. So I kept watching through the series, so it's like it never left because those websites that were up, it was multiple websites you could go to and watch the full. You could watch Dragon Ball Z Kai. You could watch the Funimation dub. You could watch Dragon Ball Z Uncut. And I think that's one thing that kept me too, because Toonami played the uncut version of Dragon Ball Z. Even after the series had ended, Toonami was still playing Adult Swim and the Toonami. They were still playing the uncut Dragon Ball Z at night. I was like in 11th grade, 12th grade. They was playing the uncut version at nighttime around 11 o'clock. I still remember that. They was playing that stuff late at night. And so that's what kept me interested in this, because it was still, even though the series had ended, it was still going. Because it was still playing on Adult Swim at night. They were still playing the uncut versions and stuff. And I was still able to see it online. They still had video games and different things like that that kept my interest. So So he has a point there.
Any capacity during the down years, all you could do is watch the old stuff and play the games. And the more you go back and watch the old stuff, the more you find appealing about it. Some of the traits that these series have that are objectively negative become part of its charm. And there's one word that describes this process: nostalgia.
And back then, I didn't see anything negative about it. When I was watching it back then, there was a lot of things in the Boo saga I didn't like. But that I found it was out of place and stuff in the Boo saga. There was a lot of that stuff I found, I don't know how a big chunk of the Boo saga I hate it because I enjoy Great Saiyan Man. I like Great Saiyan Man. A lot of people don't like it. Even Toriyama himself came out and said he didn't like it. So he started, but he said he said he didn't like. He hated Great Saiyan Man. But I enjoyed the World Tournament. I think they should have finished that arc. I really think in the Boo saga, they should have finished the World Tournament before. You know how they interrupted after the World Tournament. Piccolo Daimao showed up. That's what I think they should have did something like that. Once the Supreme Kais, once they finished the tournament, I think Bobby's men should have attacked and started sucking energy from people or something like that. Something like that should have happened. Bobby and them was watching in the tournament. He sent his men to the tournament. Something like that. After the last battle in the tournament, they attack or something like that. That's just what I think should have happened. They should have waited till once the tournament was ended, because I was wanting to see, Goku, Vegeta fight it out, nostalgia. You know what I'm saying? But we wouldn't have got the Majin Vegeta moment. But I do think all that could have happened after the tournament. But I think they should have got their match in base form. But let's say it wasn't enough to satisfy Vegeta or something like that. 18, all them. We didn't get to see the tournament fleshed out. I would love to see Gohan fight in the tournament for the first time, actually fight in a tournament, and just not get absorbed, because it's like we got teased into it. But that's the story for another day. I would rather them not have done that, just interrupted the tournament like that. When Gohan was time to Gohan to fight, I think they should have let it play all the way through. Yeah, so we'll see who would actually get the win. So Goku and Vegeta get the fight. Goku and Vegeta get the fight. Gohan do his match. He take on Spopovich. And I want to see Goku and Vegeta fight right off. And then you see maybe either Goku wins and Goku fights Gohan in the finals or something like that. That would be awesome. Goku and Gohan fighting in the finals, but Goku actually winning, and then and he learns that he should train, and because people are always stronger than him, because it's like Goku be taking the place of Master Roshi when Goku had to fight Jackie Chun. He fight Gohan in the final to let him know, look, you still gotta keep training, buddy. You know what I'm saying? It's always somebody stronger. You may have been strong in the Cell games, but you gotta keep striving. That's what my Master Roshi taught me. Gohan could have got a lesson out of it. And then you see the Majin Buu thing. Gohan learns the importance of training. Then the whole Majin Buu thing happens. See, I got some ideas for you.
From 1997 to 2013, nostalgia was Dragon Ball's ride or die. It was the silent co-pilot that kept the franchise alive and relevant even with no anime airing. Let's break down how that happened. When Dragon Ball GT concluded in 1997, it left fans with a sense of finality. Even for someone like me who was born well after 1997, I could feel the finality that GT...
Even though I hated that Goku was turned into a kid, the ending of GT was better. What had the best? GT had the best ending. Now Dragon Ball ending was pretty dope. Dragon Ball Z ending was, you knew it was kind of. I don't think they should have introduced a new person. I don't think they should have introduced a reincarnation of Majin Buu. I just don't think they should have done that. I think he should just stay dead. I really do. I really think he should just stay dead. But my new version of GT, when I talk about it on screen, I have to include him because I wanted to base my because my version, if they really wanted to give Dragon Ball Z a send off, they should have made Goku an old man, like make him old, like in the series. But you got Oob and like the next generation fighting and saving the earth. But you got Goku. He's still strong as all hell, but he's older. You know what I'm saying? So his body's slowing down. He's not he's still hardcore, but he has gray hair. They should just make him just like Krillin looked old in GT. They should have had it where, you know, Goku, Vegeta, they were aged. Should have made him old, but strong, but old. And made them like mentors and stuff like that. And gave them strategies, like different strategies to handle different threats. That's just my thing.
GT brought. Whether people loved or hated GT, that last episode with Goku riding off with Shenron and the time skip to Goku Jr. felt like the curtain dropping on a legendary era. And for a long time, it was. No new series, no new arcs, just reruns, VHS tapes, and a mountain.
And even if Goku's old in the series, like the Black Star Dragon Ball arc, I would have it where he's still old, but he go off in the universe to find the Dragon Balls himself because he wants a hint of that nostalgia. He wants that. He said, "Well, I'll go with you." I said, "No, I wanna go. Y'all stay here and protect the earth because in mind, Emperor Pilaf gets his wish and becomes the ruler of the world, and he controls several sectors and all the sectors in the world. And the Z Fighter had to go around. Z Fighter had to go around destroying the villains in each sector because he has control over different villains from the past and different things from the past, and they have to go around and destroy them. But Goku goes off and finds the Dragon Balls in the universe himself because he wants to experience that nostalgia, that journey of him going out, actually finding and looking for the Dragon Balls. It's like it's like he wanted to relive his previous adventures. He kind of goes off and does his own thing while they protect the earth, and you have flashbacks between them saving the world from Pilaf and him going and finding Dragon Balls before the universe explodes. So we can't all be at one place at once. Y'all stay here and protect the earth. I'll go find the Dragon Balls. But he does that, like I said, so he can get a taste of nostalgia. Like, I want to feel that sense of adventure again. I gotta see. I have to have a decent. I might find a design on here, on the internet somewhere, of Goku looking still halfway decent, but he's old. You can tell that he's aged. But that's what they need, like a middle-aged or aged Goku. You know what I'm saying? Where his body's slowing down, but he's still itching for a fight or for adventure. And but he'll still have a relationship with Chi-Chi. You know, he's not always just chasing a fight no more. I put it together. I'm telling you, I'm putting it together. He's settled down more so to spend all the time he can with Chi-Chi, because he know they only got so many years left. But he wants to go find the Dragon Balls, but because I'm gonna save it. I'm gonna save it for the video.
Of merchandise, but that silence, it made people miss Dragon Ball. GT's ending wasn't just an ending, it became a memory trigger. Fans clung to their love for Dragon Balls.
It just felt weird that he was a kid again. That's the only thing I didn't like. If Goku had been an adult the whole time, I wouldn't have had any problem with GT. I would have accepted all the other flaws. Had Goku been an adult the whole time, I would have accepted everything else.
Z and the thrill it brought them as kids or teens, and that emotional attachment became powerful currency. Now we gotta fast forward to 2009. Dragon Ball Z Kai wasn't a new story, it was just a cleaned up and edited version of Dragon Ball Z without the filler. I think Dragon Ball Z Kai is one of the best things to ever happen to Dragon Ball. Kai gave longtime fans a reason to come back and relive the series with a fresh coat of paint while introducing a new
And all of them should look old. Like Yamcha 10, it'd be a new generation. Be Piccolo still be young, of course, because he ages 300 years. Piccolo, cause they have their own turtle. The Z Fighters, they have a turtle hermit school. They had their own dojo like Master Roshi did. Cause Master Roshi say he stops taking the elixir, he passes on. Because it's super, he has to take they showed why he maintained his immortality. Master Roshi's gone, but they take his place. They're like, they're older, and they keep the young generation in check. Trunks, Gohan, Goten, all of like, you know what I'm saying? They're Trunks, Gohan, and Goten. They're the new leaders. And you got Pan, you got I leave Oob in there. You know what I'm saying? And you got some more people some more humans that are training under the Turbo Hermit School. It's dope. Just trust me. I'll write it.
Generation of Goku, Vegeta, and the rest of the Z Fighters. It was safe, familiar, and polished. Even though some don't like it as much, it was still a reminder of how epic the original felt. But even before Kai, the video games played a crucial role as well. The Budokai and Tenkaichi games kept the franchise in the spotlight. And then after Kai, games like Raging Blast 1 and 2 only added on to that. Even the early internet, forums like Kanzenshu, AMVs on YouTube, fan dubs, all...
The AMVs were amazing. I absolutely love the AMVs. Like the videos, I could pull some up now that I don't think they have them anymore because when copyright started kicking in. But I used to absolutely love AMVs. I love the AMVs. Hold on. I love them. I watched them over and over. Over and over and over.
All thrived during the down years. People were constantly talking about Goku versus Superman and dreaming of what a Dragon Ball Z continuation could look like. I said earlier that nostalgia was Dragon Ball's ride or die, but really, Dragon Ball had become nostalgia. Dragon Ball didn't need new content to stay relevant because nostalgia was the content. Every remaster, re-release, and video game leaned on what fans remembered and loved, and that emotional connection made the franchise feel timeless. No, it was timeless. And during those years, Dragon Ball had built up so much nostalgic goodwill that people were ready to follow it anywhere. And that's
exactly what we did, didn't it? We followed it to GT. We followed it straight to hell. We followed it straight to Daima, didn't we? And followed it straight to hell.
Exactly what they did. March 29th, 2013. That's the last day of the down years. Because on March 30th, Akira Toriyama would bring the Dragon Ball story back to center stage with Dragon Ball Z Battle of Gods.
The only problem I only have a problem with Beerus. I don't have a problem with Whis. The only reason I have a problem with the God Key. The only reason why I have an issue with God Key and all that Ultra Instinct and all that crap is because they stuck it within the 10-year gap at the end of Z. If they had did all this after Z, if they had started out right after Goku went off training with Oob, let's say Goku was training with Oob out there, and Beerus woke up looking for the Super Saiyan God. he's training. Beerus goes to Earth looking for Goku. He's training with Oob. Okay, the Saiyans are on Earth. You know what I'm saying? And they he travels to Earth. Or you can even have Goku on King Kai's planet, on the big planet, because in Dragon Ball Z, King Kai won the planet in the tournament, but that was filler art. But they brought Cooler back in GT, so to heck with it. Let's say King Kai, Goku's training with Oob on King Kai's planet, and they visit there. And he doesn't know about Super Saiyan God, stuff like that. But he wants to, he's a lot more mature, so he'll still, he still wants to spar with Beerus, but he's a lot more mature. But he can sense, he can feel that there's a lot of power in Beerus, but he not really, he's wanting to fight him to test himself to see where he was. It's like, okay, we can have a friendly, you mind if we have a friendly match? I know I can sense how strong you are. It should happen. It should have happened after Z. It should have happened in the place of GT. Dragon Ball Super should have happened in the place of GT. It should not have happened when right after Kid Buu. 4 years after Kid Buu. It just should not have done that. It shouldn't have done it. Because it contradicts a lot of things at the end of Z. It really does.
And this was one of my favorite moments ever. No amount of words can describe exactly how I felt when I learned about this movie. No amount of words can describe the anticipation. What did this mean? Would it be the same character?
I was hoping that it was at the end of Z.
When will it be taking place? Where will it be taking place?
Hopefully at the end of Z, but it didn't. It didn't pan out that way, did it?
Thoughts like these swirled in my brain as a child, and upon watching the movie for the first time, it didn't take long for me to come to the following conclusion. Battle of Gods is the best Dragon Ball movie ever.
I disagree on that one. The best movie ever to me, what was the best movie ever? I enjoyed Wrath of the Dragon because Goku actually, I think Wrath of the Dragon was one of my favorite. Wrath of the Dragon, not Broly, Second Coming. Broly, Legendary Super Saiyan, Wrath of the Dragon. BoJack was because I don't like Gohan as I do not like Gohan as a protagonist. I don't like him as a protagonist because they didn't do right with his character. The way he was written, he's a horrible main character. He's terrible. So I'm glad Toriyama actually made the right decision and brought Goku back. He shouldn't have taken Goku out of the picture to begin with, but it all kind of worked out. But yeah, he shouldn't have taken him out of the picture. He was a terrible because they could have kept the Cell saga alive and still passed the torch. And even because had Goku been there and alive, coaching him through the Kamehameha wave and doing the Kamehameha with him, that would have been a lot more impactful. That would have still been impactful, even though Goku was dead. Because Goku could have taken him somewhere in space and brought him back. And came back real quick. Instant transmission him somewhere and came back. And said, I had to make a tough decision and drop him off on a planet with some life, but I'll fix that with the Dragon Balls. You know what I'm saying? But he still comes back and kills Trunks. But Goku steps in and intervenes when Gohan's fighting Cell. Look, give him the biggest Kamehameha wave you have. So I can't, I can't finish Cell, but give him the biggest Kamehameha wave you got. I'm here with you. They could have made it to where Goku was still in the picture. They should not have replaced him. Should not have replaced Gohan. That's just my thing.
As a kid who grew up watching the original 13 Dragon Ball,
they should not have replaced Goku with Gohan. I put it like that. I'm sorry.
Ball Z movies on repeat. Those films.
Now I like some of the fights from Broly's Second Coming. I like Cooler's Revenge didn't give me enough. Cooler's Revenge. Cooler's Revenge, and then it was the Return of Cooler. I like the Return of Cooler, but Cooler's Revenge, it didn't give me enough of Super Saiyan Goku versus Cooler. I wanted to see more, and it just teased. It didn't give us enough.
Were my bread and butter. I knew every punch, transformation, and monologue like the back of my hand. So when Battle of Gods was announced, it felt surreal. After years of rightfully thinking Dragon Ball was finished, suddenly there was something new. I remember finally getting a chance to watch it and being completely floored. The tone felt familiar yet fresh.
And at the same time, you know why I'm not really mad anymore about it? Because I've been keeping up with Marvel and DC, and they're doing the same thing with their series. With Young Justice and all these different characters and different continuities and all that stuff. That's why I'm not really harping on it anymore. I'm not angry about it because when I look at how many times they rebooted the Marvel and DC universes, they reboot the characters, reboot the characters like the MCU, not the MCU, but DCAU with Batman animated series, Superman animated series, Justice League, Batman Beyond. All that was supposed to be like a linear path. Because the Justice League came out after Batman Beyond, it was supposed to take place in between the Superman animated series. Justice League took place 5 years after the Superman animated series ended. So they formed the Justice League, and then you had after the Justice League, Batman was in his 40s. Then 10 years later, it was Batman Beyond. So I did my research on all of that. Batman, Superman, Justice League, Batman Beyond, because the end of Justice League took place at the end of Batman. The Batman Beyond, the last it climaxed in the epilogue of Justice League Unlimited. So it was showing you that all of it was connected. So that's why I'm not really mad at Dragon Ball anymore, because they have all different types of continuities. This is just another timeline, alternate timeline. We can tell that. We can see that. All of it is not really, you know what I'm saying? The end of Dragon Ball Z, that was it. When Goku walked off of Dragon Ball GT is just, it's fan-made. Dragon Ball Super is something Toriyama had an idea of, and he passed it down. He wrote some stuff on a piece of paper. He jotted some stuff down, and this is what I want y'all to create. This is what it was. He had little to no involvement in Super. That's why I'm not really anymore. I know people like my rants and all that stuff, but I'm not because Marvel and DC does the same crap. Dragon Ball, it was trash. Super was garbage. Not taken away from that. Diamond was utter, pure garbage. But it's not part of the original continuity. Dragon Ball Z was Dragon Ball Z. That was it. Because I thought they were, you know what I'm saying? Now that you know that it's not really messing with the original continuity, it's just fan-made. Super is just fan-made. It's written by Toyotaro. He's a fan manga writer. You know what I'm saying? So he doesn't really mean anything. He's the same person that wrote AF. So all that stuff is fan-made garbage. So I'm not really, as long as it doesn't go back and they don't go back and rewrite Z and Dragon Ball, I'm okay. That's how I feel about it.
Pacing, the humor, the character moments was Dragon Ball in its purest form, but with a new sense of purpose. From a storytelling and animation standpoint, it went way beyond what I expected. Most of the old Dragon Ball Z movies were fun, but they were stories that left a lot to be desired. They were self-contained, flashy showcases of power with minimal narrative weight. But Battle of Gods broke that mold. The introduction of Beerus and Whis didn't just bring new characters, it brought an entirely new scale to the universe. And then there was Super Saiyan God. That form wasn't just a power-up, it was a statement. It told us the rules were changing. The Dragon Ball world was now bigger and more strange than we once thought. It was the most impactful expansion of lore since Raditz dropped a bombshell about.
Yeah, it is. Because at this point, all we thought was Supreme Kai's. You know what I'm saying? Every arc expanded the lore. Saiyan Saga. In Dragon Ball, we call it Guardian of the Earth. You know what I'm saying? We thought, okay, he's Guardian of the Earth. He went from Master Roshi, then you have Korin's Tower, then you extend it went up even higher to Guardian of the Earth, and then now you have, instead of mystical beings and stuff like that, now you have after that, Goku was the strongest on the Earth. Now you have outer space, and he's considered fodder when it comes to outer space beings. Now he has to train to match those people. Now he had to fight the intergalactic overlord of the universe. The very people that sent him to the planet. Now he had to literally fight the CEO. He went from being a fodder character sent to Earth to destroy that planet because he was considered fodder, considered low class and weak, to actually fighting and beating the CEO of the company that sent him there. Now you see why people are so addicted to Dragon Ball. He was fodder. Goku was fodder. Frieza, the likes of Frieza wouldn't even speak to somebody like Goku. Bardock challenged Goku, but he was a nobody at the time, according to Frieza. Now. Frieza saw Goku's ship going to Earth. Cooler did too, if you mash all the canon together. But they didn't even see him as worth their time. But that was the very person to come back and become the Super Saiyan that y'all feared. That was the very person to come back and do that. But now you have irony. You have this is crazy. And then after the Saiyan saga, Raditz came. Now you have the Kais introduced that are above the Guardians of the Earth. King Yama. Then you got the Kais, North Kai, East Kai, South Kai, West Kai. Those were in the filler arc of the Otherworld tournament. Now you have those. The Grand Kai, that was introduced in that filler arc. And now you have the Supreme Kais that are above the Grand Kai. And above now you go up even higher in Super lower bit. That's why it should have been in this series here. It should have been something like, okay, Goku's older now. He's old. And Beerus overslept. He could have been Goku could have been a Super Saiyan God, but yeah, he overslept. And yeah. But even though Goku's old, him and Vegeta train, but in order for them to get stronger, they have to become deities. But then they get the other set of people still take over, but like the new generation, that's how they could have had it. But you know what I'm saying. But you got the higher ups, man. After the Grand Kai, now you got Beerus and Whis. It kept going higher and higher and higher. That's why I think it should have taken place after Z. If you're just gonna keep going higher, why would you have it in the 10-year gap of Dragon Ball Z? Dragon Ball after Kid Buu and the Z. Don't you think it should take place after Z? After everything, anything they add like Daima, they went further back than Super. and it was people claiming if you don't watch Super, you're gonna be if you don't watch Diamond, you're gonna be lost when Super returns. One, I'm thinking Super's not gonna return. Two, I'm thinking Diamond is garbage, it's fan made service trash, and it doesn't even line up with Super. None of it lines up with Super. Several reasons I've already mentioned in several live streams. So yeah, no.
About Goku being an alien, and it lit my imagination on fire all over again. Yet as much as I love the movie itself, and I really do love everything that it brought to the table, the biggest thing Battle of Gods gave me was hope. Hope that Dragon Ball wasn't over, that this universe, which had been such a big part of my childhood, still had more stories to tell. Seeing that movie was like watching a door creak open after being shut for years, and on the other side was the promise of a brand new era. It seemed like Battle of Gods would make all of the down years worth it. And sure enough, on April 28th, 2015, Dragon Ball Super was announced. And as happy as I was that day, I truly believe it set in motion the decline of this legendary franchise.
My friend told me about this site. Now I'm only paying $89. So State Farm tried charging me $187 for auto insurance. I don't think so. Luckily, my friend told me about this.
Don't care.
Dragon Ball Super started off rough. There's no two ways around it. I think one of the biggest mistakes that anyone has ever made regarding the Dragon Ball franchise is how the beginning of Dragon Ball Super was handled. How something starts is just as, if not even more important than how it finishes. And to this day, I cannot understand why in the world the show directors decided to retell the Battle of Gods and Resurrection of F stories. Battle of Gods is a great movie. If I wanted to see it,
they should have left it as a goddamn movie. And this is my thing. Why would you retell it in a series? That's just lazy. And that show, I knew then, when this happened too, honestly, I started researching the state of the economy. And they were just using Dragon Ball as a cash grab. They didn't really care about the series. Why would you retell a movie? Then you had Resurrection F. Why would you retell the first two movies? Why not start out with a goddamn tournament? Why not start out with the Universe 6 tournament? It should have just started out with a freaking tournament. It should have started out with some slice of life episodes after Resurrection F. It should have been Piccolo and Gohan, something like that, training in the wastelands, because he realized after Resurrection F that he was weak and he needed to train harder. And it should have started with Resurrection F. That's just me, though. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about.
Again, I just watched the movie, which is a shorter and better overall experience. Resurrection of F isn't a movie I'd ever wish to rewatch, but if I did, I'd prefer to watch the shorter version of it. Now there's an argument that these movies were retold to give newer fans and those who didn't see the movies a chance to experience them, but to me, that's not a good reason. We went without Dragon Ball for nearly 20 years. Almost every Dragon Ball fan, and even those who weren't Dragon Ball fans, knew about those two movies and how they introduced new ideas to the franchise. Because looking back at it now, those two arcs do more than just start the series off on a bad foot. These arcs became the shaky foundation that Dragon Ball Super had to stand on. For a franchise returning after nearly 2 decades, fans were hungry for new lore, new adventures, and a bold new direction.
As long as if it would have took place after Z, again, I would have had no problem with it. New lore doesn't matter. And all that stuff doesn't matter because they do that. Like I said, I've looked into Marvel, DC. I looked into all these, even with video games. Mario Brothers. I've been looking into that. They recycle stuff all the time. They recycle villains. It's the same old stuff over and over and over and over. But they do it right. They're doing it correctly. They're not going... You know what I'm saying? A lot of their games have nothing to do with each other. And you know this. You can tell this. Like Mario Galaxy 1 had nothing to do with Mario Galaxy 2. It's just they're not connected in any way. A lot of their games are not connected. It's not a sequential order and all that stuff. when it comes to Dragon Ball Super and all that stuff, they're trying to place it in sequential order, but it's not working. All you have to do is just say none of this crap has anything to do with each other. Dragon Ball Super is its own thing. The movies are their own thing. These, just like they said in the past, like Dead Zone, Tree of Might, World's Strongest. Those movies had nothing to do with each other. We're fine with that. We're fine with different continuities. We're fine with one-offs and all that kind of crap. But when you try to connect it and try to explain it and it falls poorly short, that's where the problem is.
Instead, we were given extended versions of stories we had already seen, and the excitement of seeing Dragon Ball return quickly turned into confusion and, for some, disappointment. It felt like the show was stalling before it had even truly begun. And this was critical because Dragon Ball Super had the chance to immediately expand the scope of the Dragon Ball universe. Battle of Gods teased us with the ideas of gods of destruction, other universes, and a divine hierarchy that could have opened countless narrative doors.
After Dragon Ball Z.
But instead of jumping into that, Super chose to repackage old content, which caused early momentum to kind of fizzle out.
Wouldn't have mattered if it was after Z.
The resurrection of F-Arc only made it worse. It's a story that, while cool,
still wouldn't have mattered if it was after Dragon Ball Z. I wouldn't have cared, not one bit.
As a movie spectacle,
I would be willing to accept all of these things if it was all after Z. Now, if you're going to, and then another thing, the Saiyan Beyond God crap, when they power up like this, beyond, they should have kept this concept. They should have been to the point where they can unleash all their power in their base forms. All kinds of missed opportunities.
it lacked any emotional or narrative weight and came with a villain whose return didn't bring anything new. These decisions
didn't.
Made me question whether Super was here to build on
because it was before the end of Z.
The legacy of Z or simply capitalize on nostalgia. So by the time the universe
They used us as a cash grab. They didn't care really about the fans or what we wanted or anything. They just gave us the opposite because it was a bunch of, by this time, the Super in it came in, it was a bunch of kids. Yeah, we like this. We like Goku with blue hair. We want shiny. We want power-ups. The Dragon Ball fan base is a bunch of Zenos. That's what they are.
First 6 tournament began, the damage was already done. And while that arc introduced new characters and interesting ideas, it didn't land with the same kind of impact it could have,
because it wasn't at the end of Z.
Had if the series had kicked off.
If the series had started at the end of Z.
With it. It's not that the tournament itself was bad.
The tournament wasn't bad. It just should have started. The Dragon Ball Super should have started with this tournament.
In fact, it had solid fights and world building. But because it followed 2 sagas that dragged the energy down, fans weren't nearly as invested as they could have been. The initial excitement that came with the return of a beloved franchise had already been diluted, and Super had to work twice as hard to earn back the respect of its audience. And although it was a tall task, that's exactly what Super did.
Guys, UMGC is waiving the application fee through May 30th. You can transfer up to 90 credits toward your degree and save big with low-cost tuition. Why not explore your options? Apply at no cost today.
No, I'm not doing that. I'm sorry.
Dragon Ball Super is a rare example of a series that managed to reinvent itself mid-run. After a rocky start that didn't carry much emotional weight, expectations were understandably low. The early sagas lacked tension, narrative depth.
That's terrible. Look at this. This is horrible. This is a horrible drawing.
And the kind of world building fans had hoped for in a sequel series. But then something shifted. When I saw this for the first time,
it was good, but they ruined it horribly. They found a way to mess it up. I don't know how they did this. I don't know how they found a way to ruin this.
And then I saw this.
This was nothing wrong with that. It's just the execution of it was terrible.
It was evident that the tone was getting darker. The storytelling had sharpened, and suddenly, Super began to feel like it had found its purpose. The Zero Mortals plan and the Tournament of Power didn't just improve the show, they transformed it. These arcs were bold, high stakes, and creatively ambitious. The Zamasu and Goku Black storyline brought a philosophical depth and genuine menace that hadn't been seen since the Best of Z, while the Tournament of Power showcased the vastness of the multiverse in a way that made the Dragon Ball world feel bigger than ever. These arcs embraced the core
And they did nothing with it.
potential of Super, to explore the unknown corners of the multiverse, raise the stakes without relying solely on brute strength, and give each character, from major players to minor fan favorites, a role to shine. We can argue about execution in these arcs all day, but these arcs captured the
The execution was awful.
essence of what Super should have always been striving towards.
Super should have been at the end of GT. At the end of Z.
And so it seemed that with a newfound direction, the anime could only go up from there. And yet,
No, it didn't.
just as Dragon Ball Super
It went down poorly, horribly.
hit its stride, it was over. After waiting nearly 2 decades for the franchise to return, fans were given 3 short years and 131 episodes before the anime came to an abrupt halt.
Then the manga was even worse.
Again, it's frustrating because we finally saw the
It was frustrating because it sucked.
potential of Super realized, only to have
Only for it to suck.
the momentum cut short.
Only for it to be garbage.
The foundation had finally been built, but there wasn't enough time
Foundation was built, but the rest of it was trash.
to build on it.
You had a solid foundation, but the house was made of termites. Had a termite infestation, and the frame, the 2x4s were made of styrofoam.
Thankfully, the franchise didn't come to a complete
God awful, trash.
standstill. We
Fan service garbage.
got 2 new movies that I think are both good at
Garbage. The movies were not good, sir. That's where I disagree with you. Dragon Ball Superheroes was one of the worst movies known to man. They said they made 50 million, but that was before they paid all the employees and all that kind of stuff. So they didn't make anything off these movies. It was all garbage. Superheroes was trash. Like I always said, Gohan took a dump and became Super Saiyan. And got a transformation. He didn't do anything to earn it. He was too weak to even wear Piccolo's armor.
the very least, and the manga continued
And then he took a dump and became stronger than Goku. The manga was garbage.
forward, giving us new characters
Awful.
and stories that varied in
Horrible.
quality, but still
A hot mess.
expanded the world of Dragon
None of it was good.
Ball. I do think we
It was pure trash.
started to go in the wrong
Moro, they had a good idea with Moro, but they turned him into Cell. Granola Bar, they had a good idea, but they interrupted with gas, and then only for Frieza to come back again, and after he'd been talking to Mr. Popo, training the type hyperbolic time chamber for 10 years, and he came back and whooped it, one shot everybody. It was awful.
direction,
Awful.
from Moro
Horrible.
to Granola to Gas.
All of it was just pure, utter garbage.
The antagonists were diminishing,
Terrible.
and we started seeing movie retellings again. And this downslide only reminded me more of
And look at no. We're not gonna slide by that. No, we're not sliding by that. Right here. Look at this design. Look at this. Look at that. I want y'all to look at this. Look how skinny Krillin is.
this were diminishing, and we started seeing
No, stop right there. Stop it. Nope. We're not passing this up. Look at this. Look at these designs. Y'all tell me if this movie is good or not. Okay, I just wanted everybody to know.
movie retellings again. And this downslide only reminded me
It went from that. Look at that. Look at that animation. I want you to look at that animation. Look at that animation.
and we started seeing
And look at this. Look at this compared to this.
movie retellings again. And this downslide
Compared to this. Come on.
only reminded me more of the feeling that Super still had more to give.
Lazy.
And we only got to experience the best of it in flashes.
No, lazy. We got to experience the best of it when they weren't boo-booing all over, when they weren't taking a dump all over it.
So for about a year now, we've been in another down period, and we all know why. Dragon
We're in a down period because it sucks. Everything sucks. Everything was garbage. It was fan-made trash from the beginning.
Ball Diamond was a surprise, and I'm grateful.
I'm grateful Diamond ended because it was trash.
Yet I think you all know how I feel about it. If
It's garbage.
don't, check out my last video.
Garbage.
But since finishing Dragon Ball Daima, I haven't been able to shake the feeling that maybe this really needs to be the end.
It needs to be. It does.
And not just in the let's take another break and come back
No, let's take another break and die. That's what we
later
need to do.
kind of way.
Just take a break and die.
I mean, truly, definitively, let it
It should have ended after Z. That's how bad it was. It's how bad everything was.
rest. Let the franchise stand
Stop turning Goku into a child, for Christ's sake.
as the pillar of fiction it already is without constantly trying to reinvent itself just to stay in circulation. We've had our return. We've seen new stories, new
And we hated all of it. We hated every last bit of it.
forms, and new characters.
We didn't need any new transformations, though. They used transformations to overhype the fact that it was a horrible series.
But somewhere along the way, it started to
Somewhere along the way, it got terrible. Got really, really bad.
feel like I was
The writing just starts sucking.
continuing out of love for what I've already seen.
Yeah, pretty much. That's all. They try to feed off our nostalgia, but it took away from what had already happened before it.
Rather than excitement for what's to
Garbage.
come.
Trash.
And as much as it hurts to say it, that might be a sign that we've reached the natural endpoint.
Yes.
I don't enjoy nitpicking this franchise. I really don't.
It's not a nitpick if everything about it sucks.
I grew up with Dragon Ball. I lived through the DVDs, the reruns, the movies, the school debates. I can talk for hours, literally hours, about
I can too, but when it starts sucking, it's hard, man.
why Goku's first Super Saiyan transformation is still one of the most powerful moments
is.
in anime history.
It really
but at
is.
some point, we have to stop and ask ourselves, are we praising Dragon Ball for what it is today,
What it used to be, we all know that.
or are we clinging to what it used to be?
Clinging to what it used to be.
The last 10 years have had its moments. Battle of Gods, the Tournament of Power, Broly, but those moments have been surrounded by uneven
It's been surrounded by garbage.
storytelling, recycled ideas,
Recycled trash. Fan service garbage. And it was poorly executed.
and a growing disconnect between the franchise's
This transformation was one of the worst ones I've ever seen.
legacy and its current identity. I don't think it's wrong to want more from something you love.
Yeah, it's not wrong at all. It's just they gave us crap because the fan service kids, the freaking kids, oh, we love it. Oh, we enjoy it. The new fans today, if you say anything about it, oh, you're a hater. You're a horrible person. When in actuality, you're just telling the truth.
But I also think there's value in recognizing when a story has said everything it needs
Look at this design of Gohan. It's horrible. It looks awful.
to say.
And they know
And
it
if we're being
is.
honest, there's a portion of the Dragon Ball community that
Look at this. This happened after the Tournament of Power. Look at this design. Look at these. Look at this. Lazy. Just pure laziness.
understandably just doesn't want to move on. And who can blame them? For a lot of people, including
You got this looks better than the Dragon Ball superheroes.
myself, Dragon Ball isn't just a show, it's comfort, it's childhood, it's something familiar in a world
It's something that's better than the garbage that they've been doing since ever since Super started. I would have rather watched Dragon Ball Evolution than watch this trash that's going on now.
that's constantly changing. But that longing to hold on to the past can sometimes get in the way of growth for the story. If the only reason we're asking for more Dragon Ball is because we missed those times when we were younger, then maybe it's time to step back and let nostalgia do what it's always done best. If the last decade has shown us anything, it's that
It's showing us that it sucks now and it's time to end it.
continuing Dragon Ball endlessly doesn't
Continuing Dragon Ball means is a very bad thing because you have people in charge that don't know what the hell they're doing.
necessarily protect its legacy, it exposes it. It invites criticism, it invites fatigue, and it
It invites the sucking sound because they all suck when they at writing
raises the risk of turning something timeless into something
into something that's garbage.
tiresome.
It's trash.
For 20
That's fan service garbage.
years, nostalgia was Dragon Ball's greatest ally. It kept the series alive
The next 10 years, it's been the worst heap of crap that have ever hit the TV screen.
in the hearts of fans across generations without needing new content to validate its greatness. Maybe it's time to go back to that.
Pretty much.
Let the franchise rest, stand
Yes.
proudly on what it's already achieved,
Yes.
and be remembered for what it was at its best. To me, that's not giving up. That's honoring the
It is giving up. I give up on it because it's garbage.
legacy. Maybe that's just me. So let me know how you feel in the comments.
I've expressed how I feel. It's garbage. Okay, it is time to end it because it's trash. I'll do the other video later on, but for now, that's all I have for this one. Let me know what y'all think in the comments. Do y'all think Dragon Ball needs to die? I quite frankly think it does, but hey, so we can move on to the other things that are better, so I can try to get my mind around things. If they're not going to improve the writing, if they're not going to make it better, they're not going to make it make sense, I don't care anymore. Anyway, that's all I have for this one. Catch y'all on the next one.